right. Welcome back. Good morning, everyone. Looking like a little bit of a spicy morning out there. Should be a good day. Should be a good day. At least that's what it's looking like so far. Pure Vita, what's up, David? What's up, everyone? Morning. All right. Thursday. The day after FOMC. Hopefully some nice clarity today. A lot of money to be made out there. Some interesting news this morning. We'll get into it. Battlefield in a few weeks. Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to find time to even play it, to be honest, Palmer, but I'll figure it out. Sarah, thank you, Sarah, for joining the coffee fund. Thank you for the support. What's up, Ghost? All right, guys. So this morning yesterday, we saw the market have the 0.25% rate cut, which was the expected rate cut. Market went up. It went down. It went down into our major demands. It went down into that level that I said there would be a 100% chance of us coming back and retesting, which I sort of said, let me not put 100% on it. Let's say 99.9%. If you were here, you remember that. That was that straight up move from Thursday of I think it was 2 weeks ago or last week on SPY, on ES. We filled it to 66.20, and that was where the market bottomed yesterday. So beautiful. Filling that straight up move on the market. Whenever you see those straight up moves on the market that don't get retested, the likelihood is it gets retested. And here we go again. Here is another example of that happening. The SPY, the ES pulled back to those levels, bounced off of them, and now we're at all-time highs. So, I mean, what a sick pullback yesterday that created a long, late day. Very wild. I didn't really catch it. I caught it with some Tesla, but very aggressive. And hey, sometimes it's really easy to catch. Sometimes it's so quick and it's hard to catch. But overall, the idea was spot on. So congrats to any of you that picked up some action off that pullback. Then this morning, obviously market at new all-time highs, and we get some news from Nvidia investing $5 billion in common stock in Intel. If you guys have been watchers of the live streams, we've been sort of talking about how Intel trades at book value, how this could be an opportunity, how the U.S., the government is investing in Intel. And here you go. Another, couple weeks later, Nvidia invests in Intel, and Intel is looking like a new hot commodity on the markets. So pretty nice. Intel straight up this morning. Nvidia up as well. And then you're seeing other semiconductors get affected negatively by it. AMD getting negatively affected. ARM getting pretty negatively affected this morning. So some winners, some losers from that news. But overall, pretty interesting news there. And I think it sort of shows you the shift towards some U.S.-based semiconductors. At least some of them. Maybe not all of them, but you can see how China is trying to move away from Nvidia. Nvidia's now investing in U.S. Intel. So interesting sort of action going on behind the scenes. It's like the semiconductor race, basically. Who's going to win it? Which companies are, dedicated to which countries, basically. It's sort of interesting to see what's going on out there. But overall, just opportunity. That's all I smell. I just smell opportunity. And I smell price action. And that's all I care about. If there's price action, that's good. And we trade it. So, Bancroft, appreciate that, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for supporting the stream. So anyways, some nice stuff out there today. Let's go ahead and get started. Press that like button if you're new. Subscribe to the channel. To all you guys that sold out the shirts yesterday, these are the OGs, man. Look at this. That's legacy right there. That's the legacy logo. That's 5 years ago logo, 6 years ago logo. Nuts. We got like a pile of shirts right here. Gonna try to fulfill those. We had the 99-cent shirt sale yesterday. For you guys in the group, if you got one, I'll do my best to get these out to you pretty soon. Hopefully in the next few days, maybe next week, I'll get them shipped out. Appreciate you guys on the support there. Want to clear them out. We got some new shirts coming. Some we got a athletic fit. We got oversized, and we also have quarter zips for the winter seasons, the cold seasons, the fall. So some quarter zips on the way with some new designs. All right, let's do it. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's see if the mic makes a noise. Oh, I think we're good. All right, here we go. Let's lock in. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. And here we go. Let's turn this on. It's a little dark in here. All right. So, where do we start? Where do we start? Let's start. I don't think we have any economic calendar. I don't think we have anything today, anything major. Unemployment claims 8:30. Okay, we'll see what that does. 8:30 unemployment claims. That's really it there. Let's start with the futures, I guess. Yeah, as always. Why not? So yesterday's game plan. Let's start there. Yesterday's game plan on the S&P 500, right? What have we been talking about on the S&P 500? We've been talking about this move right here. If you guys have been coming to this live stream, you guys know that we've been talking about how the ES broke above this 6620 high and never retested it. We never retested it. Thursday, no retest. Friday, no retest. Monday, no retest. Tuesday, no retest. We never retested this high. So we understood that the market was starting to expand and starting to sort of overextend itself, and that at some point in time, we were going to need a retest of that high, right? If you get a breakout and continuation without a retest of the breakout point, you know that the market is sort of on like it's heated up, it's overexhausting itself. At some point, it's going to come back to retest that level. And that is exactly what happened, my friends. And I don't want to boost my ego here today any more than I need, right? And I'm sure you guys think I do have a big ego, which you know what, it is what it is. When you're right, and you should celebrate that. But that's what happened. And so yesterday, if you guys are part of the group, or if you get our key levels, or even if you just pay attention to the live stream, right? You could just be someone that pays attention to the live stream. And yesterday, this was our analysis. Our analysis yesterday was that we were falling back under the 6680 level on Monday's highs, right? And you saw the title of yesterday's live stream be the fact that we could have a little bit of a cool off. Watch 6656, Thursday's highs. If we fail below that, we'll get towards 6640. Under 6632, we'll go to Wednesday's demand at 6620. Some great retest levels below for markets to cool off into. We've been calling for this, and let's see if we finally get it. The bullish case yesterday was a pullback to 6620 to 6600 and allow the daily 20 SMA to catch up to reload some positions. The bearish case was under 6640, under 6632, into that 6620, 6600, right? That's what we were looking for. And if you came to the live stream yesterday, we talked about how we could fail below that high, that 66.56, start to come back down, and then ultimately come back down to retest that Wednesday high. And if you look at yesterday's price action, you can see that that is pretty much where the market found its low, between our 6,600 and 6,620, which was exactly the move that you needed on this market. So this is a great example, once again, my friends, of how pullbacks provide opportunity on the market. When you're in a bullish move on the market, you always should embrace those pullbacks and look for the opportunities that arise out of them. Now, I don't blame some of the newer traders for not being involved in this bounce. This is a very aggressive bounce, a very volatile bounce, and a very just crazy move, right? So, of course, it would have been better maybe if this was like a, slow, normal day back to this level, and then, the next day we start to get a clean, recovery back higher. The way in which it did it, I can't discount, or I can't say that it was an easy catch, right? So that's just sort of, it is what it is. It was, you had to definitely take some major risks. So it was a little tough to catch, but where did the market hold? It held 66.20, and that's really the key today. So moving into today, after we got what we were looking for yesterday, here's what I would be looking for. You guys can see that this was our Monday high that we were concerned about downside because of the fail back below, right? We had that Monday high, and then yesterday and Wednesday, we came into the pre-market and we said, if we stay under that Monday high, we need to be careful of potential downside. Now look at what has happened in the pre-market today. You guys can see in the after hours pre-market, the Monday highs have turned into support. Look at that. You now have a double bottom low at the 6680 to 6676, and that zone is the FOMC high, this little high that happened yesterday around 76, and that pre-market high, and the Monday high at 81. So anywhere between 81 to 76 today would be a spot that I would look for a pullback into today. That would be a nice spot to fill this upside move, right? Because technically we are on a gap, and I'll get into that when we go over into the SPY. But a pullback to Monday's highs, where we're holding here in the after hours pre-market, would be the A+ spot that I would look for today for a pullback to 6680, 6676. Now, if the market wants to be very strong today and just sort of go, this is the pullback level that you're going to get. 66.96 to 66.93. That is this overnight high here. That is this all-time high in the after hours here. That is your level that could hold as well on something like this, right? So for me, there's two spots to watch today. It's either 96 to 93 or 80 to 76. These are the two trades to look for right here. The two pullback longs that I would be looking for. Here is where the market could flip bearish again, right? Because we cannot, and this is, guys, I want to make something very clear. Some of the worst trading days for people come after you give back a earnings or you give back a data upside move, right? One of those just crazy give backs. You guys have seen it. The market has done it. The market could absolutely do it again. It is very possible to see the market puke everything to the upside today. You've seen it before. Now, I don't really expect that, but I've learned from my experience to expect the unexpected when it comes to the stock market. You cannot discount any opportunity or any option on the market. When you're least expecting it, that's when it happens. And so downside is the least expected thing today, and I don't want any of you that follow me or are in the community to be blindsided by that possibility. So where does that happen? If the market fails back under Monday's highs, if we fail back under the FOMC rejections intraday yesterday, that would put a shitload of pressure back to the downside. So if we go to the 5-minute chart, if we fail back under these rejections here at 76, if we start to see the market failing back under these highs, that is a concern. Now, of course, there are downside demands to still be watching, but I would believe that that could definitely show you something, and I would be aware of it. I would not be aggressively long if we failed, or I probably wouldn't be long at all if we failed back under these highs. If the market drops and rejects back under these highs today, that is not a good sign, right? That means that everyone that is long overnight after FOMC is trapped, and that could be very nasty, and you need to pay attention to that. That is massively important. I can't stress the importance of that, because we have seen CPI moves go up, and the next day it is vertically lower, and people are like, what the fuck just happened? Well, it's possible, right? So you need to be paying attention to that. You have to hold the highs of 66.76 today. If you do not hold above these highs, then I do not like the odds for upside, to be quite honest. Now, I still would look for these downside demands to hold, but I would be very hard-pressed to be trying to long back through that level. So at that point, I would need much deeper levels, right? Much deeper levels. So 66.80, 66.76, that would be the area that I would be watching. That would be your must-hold level for me today, and these are my 2 pullback longs. Best of luck on that. Moving on. SPY. Right here on SPY, it's pretty much the same thing. The pullback that we were looking for, if we go out to the hourly chart, you guys remember, if you remember anything from the last week, week and a half, we talked about how this Wednesday high never got retested. This was the straight up move that we were targeting to downside, right? Targeting that move under 65 or 656 down into that 655, right? That straight up move. Look at where the market bottomed yesterday, right at this high. Perfect pullback long, perfect break and retest long. It's right off the Wednesday high. Couldn't have been cleaner. Now, if we go to the 15-minute chart, we can see that that was where we bottomed. We reclaimed back above this 659, and we reclaimed back above Monday's highs. Monday's highs, 661, 661, 661, 661, and look at the holds here in the pre-market today. So that is a perfect hold. So where do you want to see the SPY hold today? The SPY needs to turn this 661 to 660.68 into new lows. This cannot break again. If this breaks, you will pull back and you will fail back under FOMC highs, which could put downside pressure on this market. That is very important to pay attention to. This is a pullback long spot, and so is this right here at 662.50. Either this high right here and this pre-market high right here for a pullback long, or a deeper move back to this low at 661. Those are the 2 spots today. If you fail under this high, I would be less interested in upside. Nasdaq. Nasdaq, we've had this yellow zone on my charts, the golden zone as we like to call it, and you can see the golden zone was exactly where the market bounced yesterday, which is pretty incredible. So why did the market bounce there yesterday at 24,306? Posted a tweet about that yesterday, 24,306. If you guys follow me on X, previous highs into lows, low a day. So that is pretty much perfection there on the Nasdaq futures. We got back above 24.4. We got back above the 24,472. After reclaiming both of those levels, the market continued higher. And now today, you can see that we have reclaimed the Monday high. Monday highs, pre-market rejections, intraday highs, Wednesday rejections, FOMC highs, and you can see right here that it's turning into support. Look at how clean that is. Rejection, 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 support, support. So that is about as clean as it gets in terms of a flip on the Nasdaq futures there. So where are you looking for pullback longs today? I would be looking for this pullback here at 24,647, or a deeper pullback down into that 24,563 to 24,550. Those would be my 2 A+ opportunities to look for pullback longs on the Nasdaq futures. If you fail back under this FOMC high, if you fail back under this little after hours high, if you start to reject back under these Tuesday rejections, and you ultimately fail back under that Monday rejection there, and you see something like this, that is no bueno. QQQ, same exact analysis. Everything is lining up to perfection today. Zooming out on the QQQ, you can see that the previous highs here from that Thursday high were 585. That is the exact low from the QQQ yesterday. pretty damn clean. We zoom in here, we can see that we reclaimed back above this 590 low. After reclaiming that, the market rips higher. We got above Monday's highs, Tuesday's rejections, Wednesday's rejections, and we turn it into support at 592. Perfection. So where are we looking for today? We're looking for pullbacks to 594, and we're looking for pullbacks to 592. Everything is the exact same today. And this means it's going to be a good day. Everything is so clean here. You can clearly see the system and see the plan in the pre-market. And at this point, it's about executing the plan. That's all that matters. It's about executing upon this plan. IWM held some previous highs here, and it looks like to me the IWM wants all-time highs. If we go to 4-hour chart, we can see previous highs. IWM held that really, really well. IWM is now above 240.93. Look for a pullback long at that level, 240.93, or back into the 248.50. And all-time highs is only about 3 points higher. 245, 244.98 is your all-time high. And it's looking like that is definitely a possibility today on the IWM. I believe that's all-time high. Let me just ensure that there's nothing that I'm not including here. Let me go back all the way. And yes, it is. So you are right up there. Is it finally after, years? This is a all-time high years. It has not been since before this one, which is last year. It was back in 2021 that IWM was at these levels. This is pretty massive. 244.98 all-time highs IWM. That is a very big watch. SMH ripping this morning because of the Nvidia Intel news. Huge rip, huge hold at the 303 yesterday. We held that previous all-time high at 303, 303, 303, and you are just absolutely tearing through these highs now. Not much to really trade on here besides a pullback to this 310, 309.50 area. This is really the only entry on SMH. Besides that, it is a total chase, and this thing's just gone. So, huge SMH strength this morning. Monster move. 10 points on the SMH is huge for this ETF. Dow Jones, what's the Dow Jones up to? Dow Jones held perfect, not perfect, but pretty damn clean. Maybe a little bit of slop there, but look at that 46,190, 46,200 level. Nice little break and retest long. Where's the Dow Jones all-time highs? Did we make all-time highs? Let me see here. We sure as hell did. Dow all-time highs. This is the previous all-time high over here, which is... I'm going to change this to these highs, which it looks like was the perfect hold. 46,569. Yep, you're right at it. 46,569 to these highs right here would be the area to look for opportunity back to the upside. Look to see if that holds right there. All-time highs and these highs from Thursday. If this holds, you're going higher. This would be a really aggressive hold. Not sure you're going to get that. That's very aggressive hold. If you fail back in, that's okay. You look for this deeper pullback. All right, that's it for the futures. If you guys could, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. How many people we got here? We got 2,700 people here. If you could, please press that like button. Get us to our 1,500 like goal. Let's get into Tesla. So, Tesla. What a hold at 412, man. What a level. Nuts level. Even through the FOMC downside, I should have been more aggressive off this 412 because I realized after the fact that this was a nasty hold at 412, even with the market going down. So that is wild. What a level there at 412 on a Tesla. We've had this zone on our Tesla chart since Monday, and it has held like an absolute monster both Tuesday and Wednesday. So that zone is getting beefed up. Like, you are injecting this level with some serious juice. There is definitely some buying action going on here. So that is definitely a zone to trust at this point. After seeing all of this attempt lower that was defended by buyers both Tuesday and Wednesday, even through the market downside, 412 not even skipping a beat. Like, I would have maybe expected like a tank and then a recovery. This thing did not even skip a beat. It barely dropped below 412. So that gave me a lot of confidence to hold Tesla overnight. I saw that and I was like, okay, all right, I got to take my shot here. What am I going to be scared to hold some risk? So when I saw that, I was like, yep, I'm long Tesla overnight. That's very clear. 423.69, 423.70, these highs right here, definitely a potential pullback long area today. I would definitely look for that. That could be really clean if we retest these pre-market highs and these Tuesday rejections. And then the other level that would just be an absolute ridiculous hold would be right here between this 428 and 430. If we hold these highs, I mean, you're going higher. If you just hold right above these really clean Monday rejections, there's not much that's going to keep me from getting aggressive on Tesla today. That is a sick hold if that happens. I would assume that Tesla plays a little bit of games. Personally, I always assume Tesla's going to play games. I don't think that Tesla's just going to simply hold this level. I'm going to say it's going to trap some people, maybe pull back to this previous high here and then recover the move, right? To sort of get some shorts fueled into it and get some longs sort of taken out personally. But if this thing just sets up a sick long off this level, then it's time to go. Next level for me is 440, then 447. Nvidia, big move higher, big recovery back over this 171, 172. The level to break today is 176. It's pretty damn clear. You got to reclaim 176. That's really it. That's really the only watch here. If you get above 176, it's time to look for it. Over this high, over this pre-market high, you get a break and hold above 176, back above the daily 20, daily 50. It's time to look for Nvidia back to 179, 180. That's definitely a watch for me today. AMD, big downside in the pre-market, but guess what? AMD is back into a huge demand here. I wonder if this is a little bit of a short trap. I don't know yet. We'll see. Daily chart on AMD. You are back into the major demand level at 147, 148. You're right back into that daily level. That is right where you are sitting and starting to bounce off of this morning. These highs, these lows, and there you are again, right back into that level. Does this hold today? This would be an incredible hold if it did. If it does, I really don't think I would long it because, like I said in the live stream, I need it over 164.50. It needs to be over that level. And here's another fantastic example of what we talked about yesterday about waiting for this level to break has saved me tens of thousands of dollars. If I would have been long again AMD before this level broke, look at how I'm waking up. Not so good. Right? So simply, you just need to wait for this level to break to get along. Without that, you should not be long here. This is interesting because maybe there's a arbitrage sort of, opportunity, right? Just a little sneaky opportunity on a big pullback. That could be interesting, but the better trade and more consistent trade would just be to wait for this to break. So, up to you how you want to look for that. Broadcom. Very interested in this 357 level today. If Broadcom can reclaim this, I think this could be a massive long. And the reason I say massive long is because you are trapping shorts underneath this level. If you can remount these highs and reclaim these lows and look at something like this today, you would put everyone that was short yesterday underwater, and this would, in my opinion, rip higher on a reclaim of 357 back towards all-time highs. Now, if you reject here, which is very possible as well, that is technically a break and retest rejection. Break and retest rejection right here. If you see a bear flag and this thing starts to get weak again, then you're probably coming back down to that 332. So, very important what happens at this level today. Very important. Qualcomm ripping this morning. It's been ripping. It's I think setting up for that move to 176. So I am very interested in Qualcomm today. Typically not a stock that I would trade, but you guys can see right here, this right here, that 163, 164, rejection, rejection, rejection. It's holding above it. And there's nothing, in my opinion, from 163 up into 176. Right? Look at this area here and look at the opportunity here. So I would definitely be watching Qualcomm today. Qualcomm has proven to us that 163, 164 wants to hold strong. Look at it even through FOMC yesterday. Look at that hold. That is very convincing, and I would definitely look to see if there's an opportunity here today. ARM got smoked. Not really that interested. I'll keep my alert at 155. Let's get into Intel. Jobless claims. Is the market even moving? I'm not even going to waste my time. No, it's not moving. Next. Moving on. Intel. Let me know if the market moves off that, but for now I'm going to skip it. Intel weekly chart. Key levels on the weekly. First one is these lows right here. $29.73 to $30. If you can hold above this $29.73 to $30 level, that is a very nice reclaim on Intel. Where's the best trade on Intel? The best trade on Intel is a pullback long back to 2640, right? That's the best trade. Do you get that today in the heat of this momentum? Probably not. Do you get it in the future? Probably, right? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I would say there's a very high likelihood that Intel gives this back and retest the 2650 level for a proper break and retest long, right? Weekly high, weekly high, weekly high, breakout, pullback, retest, long. That's where the big opportunity likely arises. That would be a pullback back to here, though. And does that happen today? I'm not sure. You can see right now, you are starting to fail a 33.33 level, and I will show you where that comes from. 33.33 is a major weekly low. Look at this weekly chart, and look at this 33, 23, 33, 33 area. Look at this. See this low? Low, low, high, and that's where you're rejecting this morning. So I would be careful there. I think a pullback to this 29.73 or a pullback to this 26.41 would be your best entry. The target to the upside, in my opinion, is this 37.16 weekly high right here. Right? You can see that Intel on its this earnings call from back in July went straight from 37 to 18, and that is likely where Intel is heading back to, in my opinion. So let's see where we can find an entry. Okay, that's that. Let's get into some other names here that I am watching. Apple needs to get over that 241.37. We've been waiting for that. It has not broken that. Waiting for that. Meta needs to get over 785. We've been waiting for that. It has not broken above that. Amazon needs to hold this 233 today. If it can hold 233, it can go up to 236. Google. Yeah, it held this level. I'm looking for it to break above this 253 area. If Google can have a nice strong hold above that today, you might get a push towards all-time highs. That's something I could look for. So I would watch it over 253 today. That could be interesting. Let me go back into TSM. TSM, you guys know we've been looking for the gap fill pullback. Guess what happened? We got it. We've been waiting for the gap fill pullback, right? Right here at 254.73. Look what we're doing. 254.73. We're touching it right now. So this is going to be very interesting. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be the first one to long this because of the news that came out. If this breaks this high and that gap fill, where do you think I'm looking for it? Right here. This could be really nice. 247 pullback, that might be a little bit more comfortable to me. So I'm going to be watching both of those today. CrowdStrike. We were talking about this weekly chart on CrowdStrike, and look at what has happened, my friends. We talked about this weekly high here turning into support. We talked about needing to get above this weekly high right here, and look at what has happened this morning on CrowdStrike. You are through that weekly high, and that means it is game time. So this weekly high was 455.59. You can see right here on the weekly chart, that was this high right here. You are back above it. If you hold above this weekly high, I don't see why CrowdStrike is not going to all-time highs. So I would absolutely be watching that weekly high today at 455.59. That is right here. You can see that is exactly where it's holding above this morning. So that would be a great pullback long to look for today if we can get it. Big watch on CrowdStrike. CRWV needs to get over 125. It's very nicely holding this 115. Over 125, it goes to 131. Watching that closely. Palantir, 120 or 172. very clearly needs to break it. We've been talking about the same level for 3-4 days now. It needs to break this high. Without that high, it's not a trade. 172.30. Aklo going to 100 today, hopefully. This is my second dark horse, man. I mean, it's really not a dark horse anymore. Everyone knows about Aklo, but this stock is incredible. New highs this morning. A little bit questionable into the all-time high here. Where would I want to pull back? Right here. 96, 95.50. Pull back to these highs. Give me that new entry long. That would be incredible. Or we're just going to have to trade it above all-time highs. But Aklo is just a sick, sick stock. Love it. Reddit has been pretty incredible off 250. Again, I missed it through this FOMC craziness. But, I mean, my goodness, what a perfect 250 retest again. Look at this thing. Previous highs, 250, bam, 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 perfect yesterday off 250. That is pretty incredible stuff for Reddit. Previous highs into lows. Break, retest, long. Structure, structure, structure. I mean, it's just really clean on Reddit, man. Now you're looking for a new structure to form above 266.15, right? This is structure 1. Structure 1 highs into structure 2 lows. Structure 2 highs into structure 3 lows. Structure 3 highs into structure 4 lows, right? That's the same thing over and over and over again. The same exact thing. Look at how beautiful. It's just simply highs to lows. Highs to lows. Break and retest, right? It's a simple thing to look for. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. What a break and retest system involves and includes and requires is patience for the retest. It is patience for the retest, and it is trust in the retest. Patience and trust. You need to have patience for it to pull back, and you need to trust that the pullback is actually the long opportunity. That's the hardest part for people to understand. It's pulling back so no one wants to long it, but the pullback is right into the retest that you've been waiting patiently for to happen. And once it happens, you have to trust it. And if you don't trust it, you miss it. And if you miss it, then you chase the highs. And when you chase the highs, you lose. And then it retests to the level that you wanted to be patient on. And then you see it go back higher. And then you chase it again. And then it goes back to the retest level, but you don't trust it again because you're scared that the downside is going to continue. And then the retest holds again. Right? That's what's been happening for 3 weeks, right, on Reddit. Every pullback to a retest has been a long opportunity. It's beautiful stuff, and you love to see it. So it looks like a really nice day out there today. I hope you guys find some successful trades. I hope that you use some of the levels from today's live stream to find some opportunity. Yeah, and then when you trust it, it doesn't work, right? I mean, it happens. That's what happens. It doesn't always work, but it happens a lot. It happens more often than not. Nothing in the stock market happens every time, but it definitely happens more often than not. Aklo is just one of the major nuclear energy names, and if we continue down this path of semiconductor dominance, then energy is required, right? I mean, the energy names that fuel semiconductors are probably more important than the semiconductor companies themselves. It's basically like having a car and there's no gasoline, right? I mean, like, who cares about a Ferrari if you can't drive it? It's like, who cares about semiconductors if you can't power them? So, you know, power and energy, man, is everything. It's what makes the world go round. And so that's why these energy stocks just continue to be monsters. GEV, you guys know, we were long on GEV back in the 200s on this live stream. Last year, we were long GEV. Back in the 200s, we said, hey, I'm going to invest. You guys that are long-term subscribers know this stuff. We said last year, hey, I'm going to long GEV in my long-term because this is a stock that is powering semiconductors, and it is GE Vernova. You guys remember us talking about this one? It's been the talk of our group really for the last year and a half. Another sick power and energy name. Aklo, another one, right? What's the other one? Shit. Those are the main two I watch, but there's so many others. What's the L one? LEI. right? LIE. What the hell is it? What is it? Someone tell me what that other one is. Chris knows it. Someone in the Discord tell me. L what? There's a few others. Starts with an L, right? CEG is one. Yep. CEG. Another big one. Constellation Energy. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else with the L. LEU. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Here we go. LEU. Centrus Energy, right? Everything. This whole sector. Just sick. Sick. CEG, LEU, Oklo. This one's obviously the smallest and the biggest runner. SMR. Yeah, I guess you gotta pick which ones you think are the best, right? There's so many. Which ones are the strongest? Which ones are the leaders? I ride with Oklo. That's the one I ride with. But there's plenty to ride with. I ride with Oklo and GEV. Which one do you choose? Up to you. All right, guys. I hope you have a fantastic trading day. If you want to trade live with me every day, you can check it out down below in the description. If you guys want to apply to the mentorship group it's a free application. You can check that out. If you want the key levels that we post every morning, check out Get My Key Levels. And if you just want to support the live stream, press the like button, subscribe to the channel. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace and love.